Hi, boys and girls. Is going to do a quick video over your CBA review. You are taking your CBA tomorrow at 8 a.m., so make sure you report to your homeroom teacher. And remember, you can find the link in your math classroom. Make sure you're clicking on your math classroom under classwork. Scroll down to week 8, and it will say Thursday Math CBA. So this should have been completed by Tuesday because Monday was complete slides 3 to 12 and Tuesday is complete slides 3 to 22. Today is already Wednesday, so it should be done by now and turned in so that I can grade it and return it if you made mistakes. I included a multiplication chart if you need it, as always. And then I went ahead and I jumped into whole number place value. So you have your standard form, your expanded, and your word. What do each of these mean? Standard form is just your number. So here I provided an example of a word form. A standard form, sorry. Then I provided an example of expanded form. Now just remember, there's expanded form and there's expanded notation. This is just expanded form. Down here, we have expanded notation. So just know the difference there. And then word form obviously is just using your words. One of the things I talked about in class is a lot of kiddos are using the word and where the comma should be, and that's not correct. So and is only when you have a decimal. So this would be 58 and 347 thousandths. So I use the word and here. But I don't say 3 billion and 124 million and 385,000 and no, that's not how I say it. Not when I'm talking about whole numbers. Only the decimal gets to say the word and. Another thing, if there's commas in the number, then I need to see commas in the word form. So if you need a place value chart to create one, you need to do that yourself, just to make sure that you're saying your words correctly and writing it down properly. Again, expanded form and expanded notation are two different forms. So on this one, you should have given me the expanded notation. So just in case you missed that word right there, you can always come to this one. And remember, expanded notation includes parentheses, multiplication sign, and a plus sign. Okay, so for this one, again, standard, just the number, 58 and 347 thousandths. Notice how I didn't say 58 and 3/10, 400ths, 7 thousandths. That's not how we say it. We want to say everything as a group. So everything before the decimal, that would be your 58. Decimal is and then I say everything behind the decimal as a group as well. So 58 and 347. That 7 is in the thousandths place. So again, 58 and 347 thousandths. Okay, if the 7 was not there, let's pretend I'm hiding it with my mouse, I would say 58 and 34 hundredths. And then let's pretend the 4 and the 7 are not there. I would say 58 and 3/10. You only say the place of the last digit that you see. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. And again, I only have the word and once because the and is my decimal. So then I gave it to you for this one. And for this one, again, expanded notation and then word form. Most of you got this right. However, you were misspelling tenths, hundredths, and thousands. So I'm going to write that here just in case. That's tenths. This is hundredths and thousandths. Okay, so that's how you spell. You don't put 10, 100, and 1,000. It's tenths with the THS, hundredths with the THS, and thousandths with the THS at the end. That's how you show that these are decimals and not whole numbers. For rounding, you have 3 steps. First step is to underline the place value that the question wants you to round to. So let's say the question says round this number to the 10th place. Well, that would be my first step. My 4 is in my 10th place, so I need to make sure I underline that. Again, that was a mistake that I was seeing. I would have kids underlining the wrong place value. So for example, they would underline the 5 and then circle the 4 when they should have underlined the 4 because the 4 is in the 10th place. So underline the 4, then circle the digit to the right. That would be your 7. And then ask yourself, is the circled digit, that's your 7, more or less than 5? If it is more, then the underlined digit goes up by 1. So because 7 is greater than 5 or 5 or more, my 4 becomes a 5. If it was not greater than 5, for example, 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, then this would just become a 0 and my 4 would stay the same. Okay, but because 7 was 5 or more, that 4 becomes a 5. That is rounding. You are responsible for these 3. The first one was rounded to the tenths, the hundreds, and the thousands, and you were supposed to use the scribble tool, which is up here, to show your work for these 3. And then just put your answer over here, or your new answer. Okay. Ordering strategy, or even this could also work for comparing numbers. Let's say they give us these numbers. We need to put them into the chart correctly. 0 and 7 tenths, 0 and 29 hundredths, 0 and 85 hundredths, and then 1 and 63 hundredths. So you would put them in. The decimal is already there for you. You just have to make sure that they're in the correct place, and then tell me the correct order. So write the numbers in order from least to greatest or greatest to least. And in this case, I was asking for least to greatest. Again, that's one of the mistakes that kiddos make. They put it in the incorrect order that the question is asking. So you have to make sure that you're reading the question correctly, please. Okay. The only difference on this one is that I gave you 25 as a whole number. Remember, just because you don't see the decimal doesn't mean it's not there. I say that all the time, right? Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. So you have to pretend like that decimal is there, even though you don't see it. And then when you put it over here, you're going to, let me just scooch over. You will put your 2 in the tens and then your 5 in the ones, because 2 is in the tens and 5 is in the ones, which means my decimal is behind my 5. Okay. And then over here, again, I was asking for least to greatest. Remember, you're always starting on the left side and looking right. So start with the hundreds column. If all the numbers are the same, then move on to the tens. If all the numbers are the same, then you move on to the ones. And you're looking for the one that's different. And in this case, you're looking for the smallest one first. Okay. Adding and subtracting, line up the digits according to their place value and carry over when necessary. And then subtracting, line up the digits according to the place value again, and then borrow when necessary. So I want to specifically go over the subtraction one in this one. This was 79,000. Sorry. And 0, and then 18,571. One of the mistakes that I was talking about is that some kiddos are still doing 0 minus 1 equals 1. Well, that's not true, because if I have 0 candies, and again, this is something I repeat all the time, guys, if I have 0 and you try to take 1 from me, is that possible? No, because I don't even have anything to begin with. So I can't do anything here just yet. I can't borrow from this one because it doesn't have anything. And I can't borrow from this one either because he doesn't have anything also. What I'm going to have to do is borrow from my 9. So really, my 9 becomes an 8. And I'm giving 1 to my 0, 1 whole, or really it's 10. So 0 actually becomes a 10. But then what happens is my 10 is going to become a 9 because he's going to share 1 with this guy. And then again, my 10 is going to become a 9 because I'm trying to subtract all the way over here. I have to keep borrowing until I get to the place that I need. Now I have 10 minus 1. 10 minus 1 is 9. 9 minus 7 is 2. 9 minus 5 is 4. 9, be careful there. 9 minus 8, it's not 9 minus 8, it's 8 minus 8 is 0. And 7 minus 1 is 6. And don't forget to put your comma in the correct place. Okay, so just be careful on that one. Okay. I want to shoot over to this one. I didn't include this one in your slide. In your slides because I forgot, so I'm so sorry, but it's not a big deal. This is something we've gone over already. 58 plus 24 and 67 thousandths, and then 58 minus 24 and 67 thousandths. I want you to look carefully about how I set this up, okay? That's a whole 58 and a whole 24, which means my decimal is actually hiding behind my 58, meaning that the 58 is greater. This would be the correct way to set these up. Now, let me show you the wrong way to set these up that some kiddos still make. So I still have some kiddos that are going to give me this 24 decimal, 0, 6, and 7, and then they're going to want to subtract the 5 and the 8. That's going to be wrong because, again, if my decimal is behind my 8, the rule for adding and subtracting decimals is to line up the decimal. I know that's a little bit small. In fact, let me make it a little bit bigger. Those decimals are not lined up. So you can see that this would be the wrong setup, okay? It would be correct this way. And then I just want to make sure that I put the correct number on top. So again, this would be 5, 8, decimal, 0, 0, 0. And why am I putting zeros behind? Because I have to put something there. I can't just leave it blank. And then 24. I wonder why I did that. 0, 6, and then 7. So that was weird. Okay, hold on. I'll leave it like that for now. But that would be the correct way to set that up. So I just wanted to be clear about that. Okay, let me come back up to multiplying. Multiplying is still a little bit tricky for some of us, and that's okay. Again, you have your multiplication chart up here if you need it. So let's look at our steps. Step 1, turtle and the 0. First, you're going to be multiplying because I have 24 at the bottom. I want to be multiplying the 4 times the 6, the 4 times the, oh, I just realized my mistake there. That should be 4 times 3 and then 4 times 1. Sorry about that, guys. That should be a 3 right there and not a 2. I see what my mistake was. So 4 times 6 is 24. There's a 4 down here. Carry up the 2. That's why I did 4 times 2 by accident. I'm sorry. I hope that wasn't confusing. Then 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 more is 14. So 4 down here and then 1 up here. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 more is 5. Then you need to put your 0 down. Why am I putting a 0 down? Because I have a second digit at the bottom. So then my second step would be my pizza. 2 times 6 is 12, 2 down here. And then I would put a 1 up top, and I just put it over there. 3 times 2 is 6, plus the 1 more is 7. That was the 1 more that I put over here. I really need to redo this slide now that I think about it. And then 2 times 1 is 2. And then you're simply going to add them together. 4 plus 0 is 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. 5 plus 7 is 12. Carrying up the 1, 2 plus 1 is 3. So for a final product of 3,264. So I just want to be clear about this 0 right here, guys. If we don't include this 0, my product will be incorrect. And just make sure that you're multiplying correctly. Okay, and again, I will fix this slide for my next set of students. I'm so sorry about that. I realized I had a couple mistakes on there that might have been confusing. So then you had your 2 here that you needed to work out. Okay, this slide and this slide I want to be very clear about because I still have a lot of kiddos making mistakes on the models. You're doing the math correct, and that's great. And you're moving your decimal the way you should be, which is even better. But when you are multiplying 3/10 times 10, this is a decimal number times a whole number. Your model needs to look something like this. Some of you are trying to tell me that it should be this model when it's supposed to be this kind of model. This is a whole number times a decimal. Okay, a decimal times a whole number. So this is 3/10 times 10. Excuse me, not 3/10, 300ths times 10. I want to be specific about that. 300ths times 10. So this is 100, 2, and then 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, all the way until I did it 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Another mistake that I'm seeing is that some of you guys are separating your color. So let's say, for example, I have, and I'm just making this up right now. Let's say I did 8 hundredths first, and then some of you guys want to do this. You want to do 2, and then you want to do 6 more up here, or 4 more. No, yeah, 6 more. 6 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more up here. See how I separated my yellow? I can't separate my yellow, so that's not going to work. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to come up here, and now my yellow is connected. So I know that you have the right idea, some of you. They were very close to doing the correct way. However, you have to make sure that you do it like this, where the colors are connected. Okay, so if you're coming down and then starting back up at the top, that's not going to be the correct model. So just be careful on that. Okay. The next one, this is decimal times decimal. So 8/10 times 3/10. This model looks way different, guys, than this one. Remember, this is decimal times whole number. This one is decimal times decimal. The product is where the colors overlap each other. In this case, it was 8/10 times 3/10. So 8/10 would be going up and down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way down, 7, and 8. That's your yellow. Then you're going across 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And that's your green. Now, where did they overlap each other? They overlapped each other in this section right here, which comes out to 2,400. So if I come back and I count that purple, it should be 2,400s. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, and then 24. So that's one way to double check that you did your model correct. Does this color where they overlap, does it match your product? So check that to make sure. Let me just go over this one. Let's pretend I had 2/10, 2/10 times 6/10. Okay, so then I would highlight, this is 1/10, and then this is 2/10. Let's say I'm going to do red. And then I need to go across the 6/10. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Choose a second color. And somebody might, but Miss, you covered it. Okay, we talked about that in class. Where did I cover the red at? I covered the red right here. And that is my product there, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And I bet you if I multiplied 2/10 times 6/10, it would give me 1,200s. So, and then make sure that you're coloring the overlap part only. One of the mistakes that I'm seeing is some kiddos are coming too far. Like they'll come out here like this, and that's not going to work. That's not going to be the proper thing to do. So you only want to highlight where they overlap each other for your product. Okay. The next thing is division. Okay. In this case, we have a division problem with a remainder. One of the mistakes that I'm seeing is after you set up the problem, I have some kiddos that are trying to say that 10, for example, on this one, they're telling me that 10 goes into 3 times. So they're putting a 3 right here. But 10 is bigger than 3. So I have to start out with a 0 right there. If I'm not putting that 0 down, then it's counted wrong because that's not the correct answer. You're giving me a different quotient than what it should be. 10 goes into 39 3 times because 10 times 3 is 30. So when I subtract, I get 9, and then I want to bring down that 2. And now I'm focusing on the 10 and the 92. 10 can go into 92 9 times. What is 10 times 9? 90. So 92 minus 90 gives you a remainder of 2. So again, one of the mistakes is that 0 there, people are forgetting. And it's not every single time. So I want to be clear about that. It's not every single time. Sometimes the divisor does fit into the first digit, but 10 is greater than 3, so it does not fit. Okay. And then you had this one. You had to do your multiples of 15. This one, I had some kiddos, they were trying to put the product over here when they should have been putting the product over here because you have to do it all the way to 12. There's only 12 boxes. So be careful there, please. Okay, and the last but not least is dividing decimal numbers. Guys, you got to go straight up from the decimal. So wherever the decimal is in your dividend, it goes straight up to the top, and then you can just solve normally. How? Now, how am I sure that I am done? You must end with a 0. Okay, we talked about this in class more than once. How do I know if I made a mistake? First of all, you didn't end with 0. If you didn't end with 0, 2 things happen. Either you made a mistake somewhere or you're not done. Okay, so I did that specifically on this one. It was 91 divided by 14. I wanted you to put the decimal behind the 9 and give me the correct quotient there. So the 9 decimal, the decimal after the 1 would go straight up, and then you have to add in that second or that first 0 to bring down. Okay, we did talk about that in our journal. So we do have some examples if you're confused about this one. And remember, you can always message me on your assignment if you're confused. That should be everything. Remember, I would like you to use your journal on your test just for a backup, just in case. And do your best.